Welcome, everyone. Thanks for being here. We are going to do a 30-minute recovery class. And by recovery, I mean restorative and things that you could do after a workout and or after competition, or just when you're sore and need something a little bit more restorative and feel good. We are going to be practicing yoga and also some self-massage. So you need a foam roller and a small ball. Tennis ball works. I have a high bounce pinky ball, which is actually like a $1 toy, and it's one of my favorite self-massage tools. It's similar in density and size to a tennis ball, but without the felt, it doesn't like slide out from underneath you and roll across the room, which can be kind of frustrating when you're using it. So we are going to start, or I'm going to start in a seated position, but we're starting in some stillness. So if you'd prefer to start lying down, feel free to do that. We're just going to take a moment to come into the breath, which, as you know, is a vital or important part of the yoga practice, but it's also very important when we're doing self-massage because we tend to hold our breath. So letting your hands relax on the thighs, perhaps you close your eyes. Take a moment to bring your focus to the breath, beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. And starting to slow your breathing down. And you're just taking in a little bit more inhale at the top of the breath, letting out a little more exhale at the bottom of the breath. If you're sitting, inhale, sit up taller. And then as you exhale, relax the muscles of the face, the shoulders, and the hips. And if you'd like, palms come together, pressing your thumbs into the breastbone, setting an intention for your practice today. And whatever your reason for being here, bringing that to the front of the mind, or if you'd like to dedicate your practice to someone else, please feel free to offer it up. And if you're not sure what to fill in the blank here, perhaps your practice today is about finding ease. Finding some ease in your body. Bring this thought to the front of your mind. Breathe with intention. We'll let those hands go. And coming to hands and knees. I'm patting my knees with a blanket here. Not necessary, it's just a comfort prop. Tabletop position, knees under hips, wrists under shoulders. You could always change this to a loose fist instead of flat palm or being on your forearms here. Cat and cow movements of the spine. We round through the back, tuck the chin and the tailbone under, and then do the opposite. We tip the tailbone up, belly towards the floor, chest forward, gaze a little forward, back and forth between those two, exhaling to round through the back. Inhale, arching it downward. And a few more here, taking your time, not rushing to get from one pose to the next, but appreciating these movements all the way through the spine. It's not one joint, but many joints that affect these movements. We'll bring our spine back into neutral or to this tabletop position. Reach one foot back, toes tucked under, and we'll do a little toe rocking movement. Shifting forward, you bend through the toe joints and then pressing the heel back for the calf stretch. Inhaling to shift forward, exhaling, pressing that heel back. We'll do a few more here, starting to open up through the calf, the sole of the foot. And it's not just muscles that we're mobilizing or stretching here, but the fascia and the joint capsules. Fascia really has no origin insertion, but long continuous strips of connective tissue, or not even strips, like just whole swaths of connective tissue. Lower the knee, switching sides. And uh, sometimes when we tend to have motor patterns or movement patterns in our bodies that may just be repeated, or maybe they're not healthy or mechanically sound movement patterns, the fascia starts to reconfigure and can bind and limit movement. We'll lower both knees down here. I'm setting up for a downward facing dog. And just remember throughout the practice, you can modify, you can adapt, you can rest or substitute. So down dog could be a challenging pose for you and you choose not to do it. We'll tuck the toes and reach the hips up and back. So find length in the spine. We're still warming up, so you might need a generous bend in your knees so that your back doesn't round. Take a moment here to pedal the feet or shake your head or swivel the heels left and right. Keep that lengthened breath here. And eventually settling in the down dog. We'll lower both knees and grab your yoga block. If you don't have one, it's not necessary to have it here. I'm going to place this yoga block underneath my right knee. And then I'm stepping or sweeping that left leg forward, left foot forward. So I'm in this lunge position with my right knee elevated on the block. Now, if you have a cork block or a wooden block, I wouldn't do this because you'll probably just bruise the knee. You might use that foam roller here to help you rise up, and you might need to keep it there, but if you're comfortable with your balance, you could rise all the way up here. We'll lengthen the tailbone down towards the floor and bend the front knee. So you start to open up, stretch through the right hip flexor, front of the hip, and the thigh here. But make sure the tailbone stays lengthened down towards the earth. So you could stay right here and play with some movements, maybe some backward shoulder rolls, or maybe left hand on the hip and reach that right arm up and over. Maybe even bend through that front knee and shift it back, shifting forward and back, keeping that tailbone lengthening down towards the earth as we start to open up through that right hip flexor, the fascia here in the front of the hip, thigh, into the abdomen. And we'll bring both hands down to the floor and bring that left knee back, switching sides, block under the left knee, sweeping that right foot forward. Maybe that foam roller helps you rise up, or hands on the thigh, lifting all the way up. Lengthen the tailbone down towards the earth, top of the head up towards the sky. You could play around with this here, some backward shoulder rolls, left arm reaching up and over. Maybe stay there. You could bend the knee a little bit more, back and forward. Or even reaching behind, interlacing fingers to open the chest. Take a few more breaths. Keep that tailbone lengthening towards the earth so you don't crunch to the lower back. And then we'll release the hands down to the floor. You could move that block out of the way and step your back foot to the front foot. So we're finding a forward fold. And there's a few options I'm giving you here. One is the ragdoll, knees a little bent, upper body draped over lower body. This one works for a lot of us, but if you are working with low bone density, tight hamstrings, herniated disc, try this version, feet wide, butt back so the spine is long, forearms on the thighs. Either pose, you could sway a little bit. That ragdoll version, you might hold elbows and just shake the head out. So weight of the arms giving you a little upper back release. And releasing those muscles between the neck and shoulders. We'll bring this weight shift back to center, bend the knees a little bit more, and then strong legs. Inhale, rise up to stand. If it feels good, reach up. Exhale, hands to prayer at your heart. Let this go. Shake out your arms, roll the shoulders. Could move that blanket out of the way if you had it. Starting to stretch and open up through our side body a little bit more. If your balance is a little iffy, you might be doing this one here at a wall. We're going to step 1 foot forward. If you're at the wall, it's the foot furthest away from the wall. Bending that knee, we just step forward. Step the other foot off to the side, so it's going behind. And that forward leg side, hand on the hip, the other arm reaches up and over. You could keep your gaze straight ahead or look up towards the arm or even down towards the floor. Maybe even move that head. That might mess with your balance. So maybe finding a spot to keep the gaze and take another breath or two here. We'll rise up, release the arms, swing them out, and we'll do the other side. So foot forward, bend the knee. The other leg comes behind and off to the side. Forward leg, side, hand on the hip. Reach that arm up and over. So remember, you could be at the wall instead of the hand on the hip. The hand could be on the wall as you open up through the side body. Relax the shoulders. Breathe. We'll come back up. Release this here. Swing the arms, shake them out. Roll the shoulders. And then bring your feet about shoulder distance apart here. We're coming into a washing machine movement. So your arms are kind of free flowing here. Then just start to rotate the body a little bit. So I'm rotating the upper body. The balls of my feet are staying in the same spot. But as I rotate away from that side, my heel will come up. The arms are just swinging pendular-like, trying to keep the arms relaxed. My hands are so free. I'm kind of hitting my kidneys as I come around to the side. Make that movement a little smaller, coming back into center here, shaking out the arms, and find your small ball. We're going to be massaging the sole of the foot. You might want to have a hand here on the wall if this is challenging to your balance. This is not meant to challenge your balance. So use the wall so you're not having to worry about it. So I'm going to put that ball under the arch of my foot. The main role of self-massage is you don't want to really massage over bony prominences. So I'm going to start to roll this ball lengthwise under my arch. So from the heel towards the ball of the foot. And maybe you work it a little bit more towards the inside of the arch. And work it more towards the outer edge of the arch. And then start to go a little side to side. So as I was saying before, there's no really origin insertion or like pieces of fascia the way we kind of demarcate it with muscles. And here there's a big plantar fascia under the foot, but that fascia is connected to the fascia in the calf, the fascia in the back of the thigh, the buttocks, the low back, the upper back, the neck, all the way up the back of the head to the top. We're going to switch and do the other foot. So you could go lengthwise here along the arch from the heel to the ball of the foot. Maybe starting in that midline of the foot, you could work your way over towards the inside part. There might be some areas that are a little bit more tender or sore that you might want to go to a little bit more, or maybe you want to avoid because it's uncomfortable, and then go side to side. Keeping in mind, if you run into a sore spot here in any of the self-massage, if you work around the sore spot, it will actually release the sore spot. So you don't have to go directly onto the most painful spot to get results. All right, we're gonna let that go here and finding the foam roller. And I'm gonna come down to sit on my foam roller first, and then we'll do a little bit here for the back and the lower body. So I'm bringing that behind me. You may need to sit on the floor and then scoot yourself up onto it. And depending on the firmness of your foam roller here, or if you have some of the trigger point knobby parts of the foam roller, some of this might be more or less comfortable for you. So remember to breathe, come and take a rest, or do something else if you need to. I'm going to roll this roller up my spine. If you've got moderate to severe osteoporosis, don't do this one. Stay sitting up. But I'm going to just walk my feet forward. Now I'm going to use a little bit of abs here as I roll that roller up into my lower back. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head so that I'm not straining through my neck. I'm rolling up towards the top of the spine. There might be a few pops. Once you get to your shoulder blades, start to lift your hips like a bridge pose. Let the head go back, but the hands are supporting the head so you're not straining through the neck. And then we'll go back up. So rolling that roller down the spine. Now we are working core, so you might need to put your hands down here to help. But I like keeping my hands here behind my head so I don't strain my neck. Maybe hands here to rise back up. So you're sitting on that foam roller again. Now we're going to work on the outer hip. The bony prominences we need to think about are this outer hip bone and the top of the pelvis. So there's this meaty part here on the side. So I'm going all the way on to that side, that part of my hip on the side, almost like a forearm side plank. And the top leg, I'm going to bring it forward here. And that's just my most comfortable position. You can see what works for you. Now I'm doing a small little up and down movement here between those two bony prominences, between that outer hip bone and the top of the pelvis. Are you breathing? We'll pause here in the middle. Now I'm going to roll on, so I'm facing up a little bit more, but not all the way up. So I'm kind of cockeyed here. My knees and my feet pointing off towards the side of the hip that I'm on. And now I'm rolling here more on the back of the buttocks. So between the sitting bone and the top of that pelvis again. So just trying to stay off the bony parts. You could come right up next to it, but just not up and over. You won't injure yourself, but you might bruise yourself, and it's not therapeutic. So there's no reason to do it. Now we're getting on the glute maximus and the piriformis here. And there may be a few spots that you want to pause and breathe in. And then we do the other side. So we'll roll over to that outer hip. So that fleshy part above the outer hip bone, below the top of the pelvis. So you're coming into sort of a side plank on the forearm or the hand. The top leg comes forward, foot down. And we're doing a little up and down here. Smaller area than the back of the hip that we're working with. So don't need to make it big. We're working around the gluteus medius here, so this outer hip muscle that comes and attaches to the outer hip bone. And then we roll towards the back a little bit. So we're still on that one butt cheek, and the knees and feet are pointed off towards that side, a little bit bigger area that we're working here between the sitting bone and the top of the pelvis here. Breathing. Gluteus medius, the outer hip one, the first one we did here on the side, is one of the muscles that leads into the IT band. So if you have some problems there, tendonitis, bursitis in the outer hip, this is a good one to work on. Now I'm just going to move that roller so it's underneath my hamstrings, underneath the mid-back of the thigh. Here, we're going to be going between the sitting bones and just above the back of the knee. So you kind of have to lift your hips here to start to roll up and down the backs of the thighs, hamstrings here, but remember there's big swaths of fascia as well. And I have to lift up to get enough pressure on here. Now I'm going to change it up a little bit. So lower the butt down. I'm rotating my knees and feet off to the right side and doing the same thing. This time I'm getting my outer right hamstring muscle and the two inner left hamstring muscles. So 3 hamstring muscles here. And this outer hamstring has no direct attachment to the IT band except for the fascia. We're working on that fascia there. And then we rotate the knees and toes, feet towards that left side. Same thing, make sure you're breathing here, right? Sometimes when we're exerting a little effort with the arms, or if it's slightly uncomfortable, we tend to hold the breath. All right, we'll pause here, taking that out from underneath and coming back to the ball. So the small ball here underneath the calf. So I'm leaning back on my hands just so I don't have to come into like a hamstring stretch. You could be leaning back on your forearms if you need to take a break on the wrist. And I've got this ball under the meaty part of my calf. And you could start just to go a little side to side, and you'll feel a little, probably some guitar string or bigger, tight vertical muscles here. You might need to move it down a little bit lower. Notice that we are avoiding the back of the knee with that last one we did, and this one here. There's a major artery running through the back of the knee that we don't need to compress, and a vein. And you might have found a tight spot in that calf, or a little bit more sore or stringy part. So I'm going to pause with that ball in that place, and then I'm pulling the foot towards me and then relaxing it. So pulling that foot back and then relaxing. So this is called pin and stretch. The ball is pinning that muscle in place, and then I'm stretching here, stretching the muscle as I pull the foot back and then releasing it. All right, we're going to switch to the other calf. So a little side to side here, or a little up and down. You can see how this is. There's no real playbook for this. There's no right or wrong way except for going over bony parts or going over more superficial arteries and veins, which back of the knee here. And you probably won't do any damage, but it doesn't feel good. Breathing. You might be surprised at some of the soreness and tightness that you're feeling back here in the calf. Maybe you find that tight or sore spot and you pause there, and then you pull the foot back and then relax it. Pull the foot back and relax it. So believe it or not, tension, tightness in the calves may not be so noticeable in your day-to-day, but you might be feeling like low back tension and tightness, or even limitations of movement as you bend over or stoop over. Sometimes releasing through the calf or the hamstrings or the hips releases through the low back with this sort of these self-massage techniques. All right, we're gonna take that ball out of the way. Actually, we're gonna use it again for our hip flexors. So I'm gonna stand up so you can see, or on my knees, but you don't need to. I just want to show you where this ball is gonna go because we're gonna be face down. So we're coming into this deep hip flexor. You're gonna find this front hip bone, this kind of bony prominence here, a little bit below the belly, but above the thigh. Bring your fingers just to the inside of that. And maybe up a little bit. And deep in there is psoas and iliacus, two of your hip flexors. So the ball is going to go there, and then we're lying face down on the ball. Now this can be intense, so be careful and breathe. Don't go too far towards the middle because you'll end up massaging your colon, which is not desirable. So pause here and maybe just shift your hips a little side to side. I have my head up here just so you can hear me, but you might have your hands stacked, forehead down or cheek on the floor. Maybe you do a little up and down and just kind of play with where do you feel that kind of hitting the right spot. And if you found it, pause there. This is another pin and stretch technique. So the ball stays in place, but you bend and straighten that knee. Keep breathing. And then pause with that knee bent. And then a sort of windshield wiper motion of the leg. So the shin is just kind of wagging side to side. Keep breathing. This is another one. If you feel tension, tightness, pain in the low back, sometimes releasing these deep hip flexor muscles actually helps with that low back pain, tightness, tension, compression. All right, we'll let this side go and bring the ball to the other hip flexor. So remember, it's to the inside of that front hip bone, maybe up a little bit, maybe down a little bit. You can kind of play with it and see. You just don't want to go too far towards the middle of your body. Yeah, I had it a little too low, so coming down is hitting there. And maybe a little kind of shift of the hips side to side. Finding a good spot here, breathing, bending and straightening the knee. We'll keep the knee bent and then rock the lower leg side to side, a little windshield wiper motion. Might be a small movement here. Lower that foot down. You can take this ball out from underneath you here. Maybe bend both knees and rock the legs side to side, seeing how that feels in your body. Rolling onto your back. Pulling the knees in. Holding the backs of thighs. Bring the knees out a little wider for this relaxed, happy baby. Maybe a gentle, subtle rock side to side. And maybe you hold the ankles or soles of the feet with those knees bent into a stretch your happy baby, but not necessary. This is just about release, relaxing. And we'll lower both feet down to the floor. So if there's anything else you'd like to add in here, feel free to add it in. Little twist, hip stretch, and recovery. A big part of that is rest. So we're going to take a few minutes here in whatever resting position you choose. We've worked a lot on releasing through the lower body. So I'm going to come into a legs up the wall position for my resting pose. And scooching over so that I'm sitting sideways at the wall. This is just an easier transition, so I don't have to scoot on my back. Kind of pivoting on my butt, swinging the legs up. It's sort of a breakdancer type of move, or like a fourth of one. And I'm lifting my hips to put a folded blanket underneath. It could be that foam roller underneath here as well. Legs could be straight up. They could be out in a straddle. They could be bent or one ankle crossed over the other knee. I'm going to cross ankle over ankle here. And that just makes it so that I don't have to work so hard through my hip flexors to hold the legs upright. Take an inhale through the nose, open the mouth, letting out an exhale, sigh. One more of those. Let the breath go and allow yourself to rest for the next few minutes. Maybe this position is feeling really good to your legs or your back or your lower body. You could stay here for longer, resting more, adding to your recovery. When you're ready to move on, deepen your breath. Invite some movements, wiggling the toes and fingers, circling the wrists, the ankles. Maybe a bigger stretch. Stretch through your whole body, arms overhead. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, relax there. Bend the knees, roll to your side, pausing for a moment here. Take a few more deep breaths just to bring the intra-abdominal pressure up a bit. Appreciating your body, the intricacy of how it all works together, your health, your yoga practice. Gently pressing yourself up. Thank you all for being here, sharing your practice and your energy. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste.